Well, hello again. Sorry I haven't really had very much time for playing around on YouTube. Haven't had time to make any videos. I've been far too busy with a real life. I don't spend most of my life sitting looking at the walls, ceiling and looking at my shoes, wondering how I'm going to spend the day. So I was going to make a video about Apollo Defectives 6. This is Apollo Defectives 7, but I haven't had time to do it. You know, I was going to put put some stuff out there about the last Apollo Defectives video, and that was the one with Randy Walsh in it, who said he would look forward to debating me, and then when I offered him a debate, ran away and hid. As do any of these guys. Neil Peel. Actually, he's not there at the moment, but I saw this video and I felt compelled that I'm going to have to make a little video about a couple of the points that they make here. Not the whole thing. I will do a video that will probably be an hour or so, and I'll look at this one and Apollo Defective 6 together, and just point out some of the drivel these guys are actually talking. But I thought I'd just make a very quick video just to point this out, because I've heard this over and over again from morons like these. Okay, now this has got to do with the shadows, how the shadows fall on the moon. So let's just have a little listen to one of our old mates here, our old favourites, Marcus Allen, who, by the way, tells us that von Braun and co. were the Germans that got America to the moon. I asked Mr. Allen why he would make a statement like that when he says it's all rubbish and they never went. Poor old Ben here, Ben Emlyn Jones, is not looking too good there, but he's struggling to stay awake in this particular video, the Apollo Detectives 7, and this is on the Neil Peel channel. I'll leave a link to this video below so you can have a good chuckle to yourself while you're eating your chalky digestives. This guy here, Trevor Weaver, sharp as a razor. He should be a diplomat with the UN. Razor sharp. He tells us that you know, a microphone won't work in a vacuum. Oh dear. He's obviously never heard of sort of microphonic. You know, if you attach a microphone to a structure and then remove the air and then tap the structure, you'll still hear a tapping sound. It doesn't require air. There's our old mate Colin Sugrin, who thinks that they use depleted uranium weapons because it's got something to do with the radiation. It's got nothing whatsoever to do with the fact that it's an extremely dense material. And it's got incredible penetrating power. It's the only thing that can push through significant tank armour, armoured vehicles, because it's so dense. Not quite as dense as Mr. Sugrin here, but it's pretty damn dense. Now, I'm going to show you a little clip here. This guy here, this guy reminds me of Grape Ape. I don't quite know why. Apparently some kind of scientist, used to peddle free energy machines. Not literally, of course. That might have been the only way he got his light bulb to light up. But I'll leave a link below to some of this guy's stuff as well, and that will increase your chuckle factor, I'm sure. All right, well, let's just hear some pearls of wisdom from Mr. Allen.
One question for Asa. Have you seen the film Make Believe Smoke and Mirrors with the enhanced commentary on it? It's been done by Bob Williams.
I don't know if I've seen the enhanced. It's been many years ago that I watched it.
Okay, on the Apollo Detectives YouTube channel, which is run by Bob Williams. He's taken that film, 2 hours 44 minutes of it, split it into sections, and actually added the correct commentary, so you can now understand a great deal more about what's going on. And I would say that image from Apollo 14 that you're showing there was probably taken from the set they were using to create the images, but using models to do so, and using spotlights in studios to do it. Because if that model is about 12 inches high, then we're looking across something maybe 20, 30 foot in terms of studio space. Got one light source. Yes, it would produce that sort of image, because the light source is just off to the left of the picture.
So what he's saying is, if this is a model, then one light source would produce these diverging shadows. See, the shadows are diverging away from each other. Okay. He's saying this is a model, this is a set, and if this was all faked and this was a model and this is a set, then one single light would produce diverging shadows. Now it's interesting, because I would have thought that if this was a model and you scaled it up and you used one light in the same place, you're going to get exactly the same diverging shadows. But anyway, let's just let Mr. Allen continue.
So if it was taken from the Make-Believe Smoke and Mirrors film, showing the sets on which they were actually photographed, that makes much more sense. But to say that is real life on the lunar surface is complete nonsense. Shadows don't fall that way in real sunlight.
Shadows don't fall that way in real sunlight. Okay, you got diverging shadows. Shadows don't fall that way in real sunlight. Okay, well, perhaps he could explain the difference between, the single light source, the spotlight, if that was a model, and the single light source that is the sun. Because, I mean, if this was a model and you scaled it up and you had a single light source, the shadows are still going to fall at exactly the same angles, aren't they? They're going to be divergent angles. Anyway, I'll show you a little video that I made, because these people will say, I have never seen diverging shadows produced anywhere outside of a studio. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a little video that I did when I was out in the bush a couple of years ago. I didn't have a lot of time to film it. It was just something that I noticed, and I thought, this will do to make a point. So I parked the car up and I ran back, and fortunately I had the camera with me. I just shot a little video to show diverging shadows generated by real sunlight. So is he going to say anything else?
They fall that way in spotlights, but not real sunlight.
They fall that way in spotlights, but not real sunlight. Perhaps you could tell us the difference. Is he saying spotlights, possibly? Okay, yeah, so more than one light source, is that what he's saying? So he's saying there's one spotlight over there, there's one spotlight over there. But if this was real sunlight and you only have one light source, there's no way you would get diverging shadows. Now, Mr. Allen is a photographic expert, he tells us. And he sort of talks with authority, as if he knows what he's talking about. Now, this is, of course, an illusion, because he's completely clueless, as are the rest of this menagerie of Muppets.
Trevor, have you got anything to add? You've been quite quiet recently.
No, I was interested in what Rasta said earlier on about.
Yeah, well, this guy's never got anything interesting to say. He's incredibly, I don't know, wisely possibly quiet during most of this program, and the one before I don't think he said very much. And what he did say was complete drivel, so probably just as well. Now, I'm just going to show you a quick clip that I filmed out in the bush, and then we can remember the pearls of wisdom from Marcus Allen. You do not get divergent shadows in real sunlight. Okay, now you see people like Marcus Allen will draw your attention to shadows falling in different directions on the moon and saying, well, there's got to be more than one light source. And in fact, that's absolute rubbish. Here is one light source up in the sky, the sun, and look at the shadow, look at the angle of the shadow from the radio mast coming across there like that. Look at the angle of the shadow from that post. It's nothing like the angle from the radio mast, is it? Look at the angle there from that fence. So you've got one light source, the sun, up in the sky, and you've got that from the radio mast, you've got that angle there, the shadow coming across there, like that. Go to the post, completely different angle, and if you look at that post there, the shadow from that is completely different angle again, and from that post there again. Wherever it's gone, where's it gone? There, that angle there. That one is a completely opposite direction. There is only one light source here, the sun in the sky. So whenever you see these people showing you pictures that were taken on the moon, and they say, oh, look at all these angles, they're all different. Very quick demonstration to show you that it's all a matter of perspective, how tall the object is, how far it is from the light source. Remember, the moon's not flat. So there you go. One light source, the sun in the sky, all those different angles. Obviously, if I move around, the shadows will move. But from one person taking a picture on the moon, seeing lots of different angles of shadows from one light source, nothing wrong with that at all. No anomaly there at all. These people have absolutely zero ability with regard photographic analysis. When they look at these photographs and they say, look at that angle, look at that angle, look at that angle, you know, it's all absolute rubbish. I can't see that now because it's quite bright out here. It's winter in Australia, but still 18 degrees centigrade and not much in the way of clouds in the sky, as you can see. You know, it's a blue sky everywhere. Alright, just a very quick video on angles of shadows cast from one light source. Thanks for watching. Perhaps I'll catch you again. So there we are. There's a little clip that I recorded out in the bush showing divergent shadows. Now, I did say something incorrect. I know you'll find it hard to believe. Preposterous, I hear you cry. You can't be wrong, mumbling. Don't be ridiculous, man. Pull yourself together. But if I actually walked around, the shadow angle, obviously cast by the sun, the shadow angle remains the same. It might look a little bit different depending on where I am, but the actual angle cast remains the same. The shadows do not move around. That's nonsense. As is, you don't see divergent shadows cast by the sun. Now, I thought this one was quite interesting because you do see some of these Apollo shots, and they'll say, well, you know, you've got a shadow cast here by this post. But there's a thing on the ground here, and we don't see a shadow cast from it, do we? Now, that's not rigged. That's just a bit of junk lying on the ground. So when they say, "Oh, you know, why isn't there a shadow? Why isn't there a shadow there? This is photoshopped. You know, this has been photoshopped. There's no shadow." You know, you hear all this kind of bloody rubbish, but this is just a bit of junk lying on the ground, as you can see, because it's low. It's not casting a shadow. The side of it's in shadow. Here, the shadow doesn't go across the ground. This is semicircular. It's a conical shaped thing. So it all depends on a number. It all depends on a number of different things. You know, as I've said before, what the terrain's like. You know, how high the object is. Is it flat? This isn't flat. The shadow is going to be different. If you've got a flat surface here, and then a curved surface here, you've got a post knocked in here and you've got a post knocked in there, the shadows are going to be different. The shadows cast by the sun will not be parallel. No shadow on the ground. This is just a part of this thing here. There's no shadow. It's not rigged, it's not Photoshop, and it's also not an anomaly. So just dismiss anything anybody ever has to say about Apollo pictures, images from any of the Apollo missions having the shadows in the wrong place, because these people have got no idea what they're talking about. And as you've seen from the video previously, you certainly do get diverging shadows cast from a single light source in the sky, the sun. All right, well, there's a couple of other things on this particular Apollo Defective 7 that I just wanted to very, very quickly mention, and then I'm going to have to leave it. I just don't have any more time to spend on this drivel. Yeah, I thought this was quite amusing. This is from the Apollo Detective 7, and you can see a timestamp there. This is 1:55:02. And this is Ben Emlyn Jones telling us all that he knows perfectly well the moon landing happened exactly as the history books tell us.
As I said about the heat effects, like the fact the ground gets very hot during a full moon. I mean, I always assumed, you know, going to full moon's best because you've got the sun above you, you've got the most amount of light. Now, Ben is not the sharpest tool in the shed, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Ben said, well, you know, they've launched a new solar probe. They don't have to worry about all the high temperatures from the sun. They're not going to melt the spacecraft because they're going to launch it at night. But obviously, like that, if that's the problem, you know, your feet get too hot and your boots melt and things like that, then that would be an issue. But I mean, it is odd they chose that date, Jarrett, I must say. I wonder if it was just accidental. Why not just choose the same date as the real moon landing?
Why not choose the same date as the real moon landing? Why not choose the same date as the real moon landing? Well, there you go. I think that's pretty conclusive that Ben is making a bit of a Freudian slip there. He knows full well that the moon landings happened exactly as the history books tell us. Now let's go and have a look at another mental giant. We'll have a listen to a comment from Mr. Neil Peel, this fella here, and see what he's got to say. Okay, well, we'll finish with a comment from Neil Peel that I think is quite amusing.
That's true.
There is an interesting video that someone pointed out on Deep Thoughts Radio. I think there's the guy Mark that hosts that on Deep Thoughts Radio, and I can't recollect which mission it was.
Ben looks like he's losing the will to live over there on the left, isn't he?
But it might have actually been the first one, Apollo 11, where, and you can compare this today, like the Japanese satellite that goes round the moon with a continuous live feed. You can see that on YouTube. It's going around its orbit and the moon's rotating under it. is that in this particular shot of when they've got to the moon in Apollo 11, they're filming out the window allegedly, and you can see a few craters, but the moon isn't moving fast under them or anything like that. It's just there all the time. It's not moving at all. Now when you're in orbit around the Earth, and that's either old footage from the 1960s or present-day footage of satellites and things, the Earth is moving pretty quickly under you. And so if you supposedly entered the orbit of the moon, those craters will have moved well out of the window frame, and you'll be onto a mountain range or something, you see. So I thought that was an interesting point. I'll see if I can track that footage down for another presentation.
Yeah, you'll give us another laugh, Neil. Now, that's Neil Peel, the mental giant that knows all about the Apollo missions, and he understands all the technology. He knows everything about, lunar orbit dynamics and Earth orbit dynamics. What he has sort of overlooked, just a trifling thing really, but what he seems to have overlooked, he's saying, well, you see these images from the take from Earth orbit, and the Earth rolls beneath you. But when the Apollo spacecraft got into orbit around the moon, it didn't appear that the moon was moving. Now, that may have something to do with the fact that the Earth rotates, makes one full rotation on its axis every 24 hours, and the moon makes one rotation on its axis every 28 days. Clueless doesn't even begin to describe this bunch of Muppets, does it? They are just clowns. I don't have the circus music queued up, but I really should have for this. It's beyond a bloody joke. Absolute bloody rubbish from start to finish. Okay, well, as I say, I'll make a more thorough video, and we'll completely crucify these morons. And I'll cover points that they make in Apollo Detective 7 and Apollo Detective 6, because I want to chuck a few things in there from Randy Walsh as well, and I'll see if I can get myself a rubber chicken to represent Mr. Walsh in the studio here at Mumbling Mansion. Okay, well, as always, if you've made it this far through the video, many thanks for watching. Perhaps I'll catch you again.